I'm hoping that some listeners over here are in their 20s and 30s, that you have the potential to live forever. Because guess what? You have a choice to close the gap to zero and allow the body not to get damaged at all. Because once there's a gap at the age of 30, 35-ish, when there's a first gap that happens, the body cannot go bring back to homeostasis. So that means there's some changes already happening in the body. Some damage is already happening inside your body. That damage can eventually lead to some diseases. The disease is what? Organ failures, literally. If
Okay.
the heart's not pumping hard enough, then you have issues with your heart. If your body's not detoxifying fast enough, then you have issues with your kidneys and your livers and your cholesterol issues and whatnot, diabetes. They're all triggers because the organs are not able to keep up with the demand of what it's supposed to do.
You know, many years of science communication as a PR practitioner, I get a kick out of unpacking very detailed, technical, research-based information and breaking it down into bite-sized chunks that either evoke an emotion or encourage you to take positive action towards achieving a certain goal. And I would say that this is one episode that you want to tune into if you really want to maximize your goal of addressing aging and age-related diseases and maintaining good health and longevity, because we are living longer than our grandparents, even our parents' generation, thanks to technology and great medicine. But there's so much more that's going on behind the scenes in our body that we don't quite comprehend. But if we set ourselves up for success and support those systems that are working hard every day in every single cell, we could probably naturally defend off toxins and inflammation, as well as other accelerated aging processes. Today's episode, I'm joined by Dr. Nayan Patel to reveal this master antioxidant that you've probably never heard about. And after this episode, I'm most certain you will be checking it out on his website. It is called glutathione, known as the master antioxidant, and is the missing link in our wellness strategy. Boosting these levels could change everything from our brain function, skin health, resilience against disease, and how we are aging. If you care about aging well and feeling energized and living longer, this is a conversation you don't want to miss. It is a game changer. Dr. Nayan Patel is a sought-after pharmacist, a wellness expert, and a thought leader in the industry. He has been working with physicians since 1999 to custom develop medication for clients and design a patent-specific drug and nutrition regime. He has been the pharmacist of choice to celebrities, CEOs, and physicians. He published his comprehensive book called The Glutathione Revolution: Fight Disease, Slow Aging, and Increase Energy. After several years of clinical research on the master oxidant, glutathione, Dr. Patel and his team developed a patent technology to deliver glutathione topically, changing the game on how best to absorb GSH systemically. And from his technology, he additionally developed a skincare line to deliver antioxidants more effectively and efficiently and at potent concentrations. While glutathione is an essential part of the detoxifying process in our body, diet and lifestyle changes will significantly impact glutathione production levels in the body. Dr. Patel's expertise lies in identifying and addressing the widespread deficiency of this glutathione and the significant role it plays in maintaining overall health. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Nayan Patel. Dr. Patel, I am pleased to have you join me here today on the Menopause Disruptor podcast from Southern California. So first of all, welcome.
Thank you for having me today. Appreciate the time.
Well, let's just explain for the listeners who are new to the concept, what exactly is glutathione and why is it often called the master antioxidant?
Well, we like to call people's names, so we just call them something, right? This is called antioxidant. But in reality, glutathione is the most abundant molecule produced in human body. Now, I'll give you some context. First of all, we don't produce air, but without air, we will not be able to survive.
Mm.
You cannot survive more than a few minutes. right? For sure
Right.
not, for sure not 1 hour, right? And so without air, you won't be able to survive. Second thing is we won't be able to survive is without water, because even though we don't produce water, not abundantly, we have to take our water from outside sources to basically make all the functions moving inside your body. But then internally, our body produces one molecule, which is the most abundant molecule. It's called glutathione. It's a peptide. It's a three amino acid coming together, cysteine, glutamine, and glycine. Three amino acids coming together form one of the simplest form of peptides, a tripeptide, and it's the basic lifeblood or lifeline for all human beings on this planet.
My
Without this, I don't think anybody can survive. And so this is something that the body produces abundantly. If you have a mutation, a defect where you cannot produce glutathione, you'll know very early in your life that you cannot produce this glutathione, and the life expectancy for these people is negligible. It doesn't go up any higher. So, which is very few people in the world that have these issues, right? Most people develop this this condition or an issue very late on in their life. It had nothing to do with menopause or andropause or anything like that. It's just as the life goes around, gene mutations may cause defect in the production of glutathione, and that's when the issues comes in. But anyways, we can talk about this later on. But the first thing is first, right? What is glutathione? It's an amino acid, tripeptide, most abundant molecule produced in the human body. Is known as a master antioxidant because oxidation happens every single second of your life, and oxidation leads to oxidative stress, which leads to all all cause mortality in the human beings today.
My goodness. And it's been touted as the ability to slow aging and help prevent disease, as you just mentioned. So could
Huh?
you walk us through how glutathione supports immune function and the mitochondrial health, as well as cellular repair, where we see a lot of that oxidative stress wreaking
Oh my
havoc
goodness.
on the
All
body?
right. That's a loaded question. So that you just sit back and relax and let me talk for the next 2 hours, I guess, because that's what's going to happen about this one question, because everybody has one thing on their mind. What can I do today? What can I do every day to have no disease in the future, no disease today? And if I've been misbehaving in the past, which everybody, all of us have done that because we thought we were invincible at one point in our life. And if that's the case, if that's who you are, there's a way to basically stop the progression of going worse. And so the first thing is that we need to understand what glutathione is and how it works in the body and what it is do, because we just touched about the master antioxidant. And I'll give you an analogy so you understand that better. So let's say you came home from buying groceries, your bag full of groceries, both your hands are filled up, you kick the door open with your leg, and then you go to the kitchen and drop all the bags down. You left the door open, and with the wind, all the dirt, the pollution, the leaves that comes inside your house, the snow, whatever, right? From outside the house comes inside your house. And that you care about your house so much that you start cleaning it up from inside all the time. So you start cleaning the house, but the house now is just cleaned up because guess what? You forgot to close the door. So closing the door, stopping the body from getting oxidation is the first step. That's where the word antioxidant comes into play. It basically nullifies all the oxidation that happens inside your body immediately. And for oxidation, if you think about it visually, I can show you is if you have a nail that sits in a bed of water, it'll rust really fast. The rust is what? It's oxidation. It's oxidation, right? But yet, if the same nail is put inside your house, someplace where it's working the whole time, putting all the pieces together, it's always working for you. Guess what? It doesn't get rusted. It's
Mm,
constantly working, right?
right.
So if it's exposed to the air, and it's not working, it will get rusted. And that's what the rust is. That's the oxidation. And the rust is eventually eating up the nail from inside, from outside in, right? It's coming, kind of eating it up. And eventually the whole thing gets brittle and it's gone, right?
Right.
That's the body is rusting from inside all the time because we are breathing what? Oxygen
Mm.
is causing the rust from inside out. So
Mm.
the antioxidant is what be necessary to stop the oxidation from the happening. That's the analogy that says close the door. But let's see if you came home and you put the groceries down, the wind brushes it with all the thing, and you go and close the door. If you close the door, the debris inside the house is going to clean up by itself. No,
No.
you still go clean the debris up, right? So thank you for telling me. So you still go do the work and clean the debris up. So any damage that happened to your body, the body has to clean up the damage and make it better again. Once you clean up the damage, once you gather all the dirt and debris from the house, somebody has to take it out,
Aha. Yeah.
right? And so once you clear the body from inside and dump everything in, the liver goes, okay, now I got to figure out something I can dump in the bladder to the kidneys so you can pee it out, and something that I have to put in the intestines so you can get rid of it by pooping it out. Either
Right.
way, you have to get rid of it somehow. Glutathione, as a master conjugator, helps eliminate from the liver all the known chemicals and toxic things that you have been accumulated from the whole body. It helps you get rid of it. So it
Okay.
shuts the door down so you don't get any more debris coming in. And whatever's inside, the body cleans it up and dumps it into the liver. The glutathione will basically get rid of it. Now,
Okay.
now, once you do that part, is your body aging? I don't think so. The body's not getting damaged. It's not
Okay.
aging. It's not getting damaged, right? And up until 16 or 18 or 20 years of age, you were this small when you were born, like 5 or 7 pounds or 8 pounds if you're a good, healthy baby. And then from there, you go to 90 pounds, 100 pounds. And what happens from day one to year 18 or 20 is you have a whole bunch of stem cells to build your body up. So the stem cell starts going lower and lower, and your body gets bigger and bigger. And so once you reach a certain age, which is 16, 18, 20, you have no more stem cells remaining, a very small amount of stem cells remaining because all the stem cells has been used to build your body up. And that
Okay.
body is given and said, Mary, you're a grown woman now, go enjoy your life. And what's the first thing you do? Oh my God, I'm 21 now. I can go drink. And as soon as you turn 21, the thing that your body is fully developed now, so you can go destroy it.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
said that? You don't have to. That's a choice you have to make. But
Mhm.
if you can prevent the oxidation happening as soon as you're done building the body, which is going to be 16, 18, 20, whatever that age is, right? Think
Right.
about it. You can literally stop the aging process, but our brain hasn't developed yet,
Of course. Prefrontal
right?
cortex is
The
about.
photocortex hasn't developed yet. So you
Yeah.
still need parental guidance to tell you, but us parents are always scared to tell our kids because they're afraid of, oh, what if they get rebellious and move out of the house? Or we have a dozen excuses not to reprimand the kids because the frontal cortex hasn't developed yet fully. Right?
Yes.
So, anyways, that's a whole different tangent. That's a whole different. I'm not psychologist at this point yet, so I'm not going to go with that route, how to deal with the kids at this point. But my job is to explain to you what glutathione is and what it does, and very early on. So let's see, you go around starting at the age of 20, 21, your
Mhm.
body gets bad, the body comes back to normal. The body gets bad, it comes back to normal every single day because your body can produce enough of these enzymes, the amino acids, everything is there. You can literally go bad and come back to normal. You can drink like a fish, and the next morning you're going to wake up like, oh my God, that was a good night yesterday. We had so much fun. Now, if you drink like a fish when you're 50 plus years age, oh my God, forget drink like a fish. Even if you drink two drinks, the next
Oh
morning
gosh.
you
Yeah.
feel the pain. I say, oh geez, why did I do that? Didn't serve any purpose, right? And so the body's ability to come back to homeostasis, what we call is completely balanced. It's moving. It's moving as you age, right? It goes bad and it moves, goes bad and it moves further up
Wow.
until the age of about 30, 35. After that, guess what? The body never comes back to homeostasis. There's a gap. It goes bad and it comes back down, but never goes back to zero. There's a gap. What's
Ah,
the gap called? The gap is oxidation,
oxidation,
no more coming back to normal. That gap is called oxidative stress.
oxidative
That means
stress.
that for the very first time, your body's under stress. That means whatever the body's exposed to, the body cannot neutralize every single thing. There's a
Okay.
gap. This gap is what the onset of all the problems in human beings, oxidative stress. And if you do not know that part, all I can do for everybody that's listening right now, you can pause it for a couple of seconds and just put in your favorite search engine, oxidative stress related diseases. And
Hmm.
what you're going to find out is that every disease in the world has linked to oxidative stress.
Wow.
So I'll go back to history, right? Back in the 20s and 30s, the number one cause of death in human being was what? Infections, right? People used
Right.
to die at the age of 30, 40, right? Nobody, if you live past 60 or 70, oh my God, you're a centurion,
Yeah.
right? It's
Very
like
young.
somebody living right now, 150 years
Yeah.
of age, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't exist anymore, right? And so until we invented penicillin,
Okay.
single most important medication we ever invented that expanded the lifespan by 20 to 30 years
Well,
was antibiotics. But today, if you take it, would you take antibiotics every single day of your life to increase the lifespan?
no.
No. No, of course not, because antibiotics are going to kill you, right? Faster
Totally.
than anything else can. But
Yeah.
at that time, sanitization processes, cleaning up processes, taking antibiotics is the whole thing of antimicrobials increase our lifespan because the normal cause of death was infections.
Right.
Today, the number one cause of death in the world is oxidative stress. If I can reduce oxidative stress down to zero,
Okay.
there's your second question, anti-aging, right? There's a possibility that we can live for much longer than we ever imagined. Because today, what we think about it, 80, 100, 115. What if I tell you that, hey, if you can stop oxidative stress, you can live to 120, 130, 150 maybe. So that's my thinking is going towards people right now. But if you want to live to 120, 150, you got to do something today. I don't care if you're 20 years old or you're 50 years old or you're 90 years old. It doesn't really matter what age you are. You got to do one thing today. Bring your oxidative stress down to zero.
Okay.
And
And
if
you
I can do that every single day, there's a possibility that I can help you get you to the next hump, which is 120, 130-ish.
you're going to explain to us how we can do that and diet lifestyle. So basically, closing that door, but closing up that gap. Close the gap is the key thing. And as you said, I'm glad you said that. It doesn't matter if you're in your 20s, your 30s, you still have the opportunity, 40s, 50s, going through menopause, andropause, still have the opportunity to close that gap. So I'm really curious then, what do we need to do to close that gap? And does the amount of time as we age, the generations or the years pass further away from 20 when that, or 30, when that gap starts to exist and we
Uh-huh.
can't close it naturally, the further we get away from that magical age in time and space where we start to see that gap in our oxidative stress, is it harder to close up the gap, and is closing up the gap become less effective? So
So
2 points.
closing up the gap is not hard. What's hard is if it has caused damage, to the
Aha.
human body,
Okay.
which is irreversible.
Okay.
For example, my dad had arthritis for 30, 40 years. Bones are completely deformed. I cannot reform the bone brand new again. That
Yeah.
I cannot do it, right?
Right.
I can stop the oxidative stress down so it doesn't get any worse than what it already is, but I cannot go back to zero, back to normal again.
Oh my
And
God.
that's my second aha moment for everybody today.
Uh-huh.
I'm hoping that some listeners over here are in their 20s and 30s that you have the potential to live forever. And the
Yes.
potential is there because guess what? You have a choice to close the gap to zero and allow the body not to get damaged at all.
Mm.
Because once there's a gap, once there's a gap at the age of 30, 35-ish, when there's a first gap that happens, the body is now cannot go bring back to homeostasis. So that means there's some changes already happening in the body, some damage is already happening inside your body. That damage can eventually lead to some diseases. The disease is what? Organ failures, literally. If the
Okay.
heart's not pumping hard enough, then you have issues with your heart. If your body's not detoxifying fast enough, then you have issues with your kidneys and your livers and your cholesterol issues and whatnot, right? Diabetes. They're all triggers because your body's, the organs are not able to keep up with the demand of what it's supposed to do,
Which
right?
becomes irreversible.
And then if those, once you get a diagnosis with a disease,
Okay.
then I can get you back to normal up to that stage. But I cannot bring you, make you disease free and make you completely normal like you're in your 20s.
Okay.
I
Of
can
course.
bring you back to normal until you were about to get a disease. And so you'll function like this normally for the rest of your life, no problem. But I cannot bring you back to a childhood age where your body is completely disease free. And no matter
Mhm.
what happens, you have some buffer room to build in, right?
Right.
And so my urge is for everybody. And at the same time, if you're 90s of age, and remind me to share a story with you about my father when he was 89 as well, and what happens. There is still hope for everybody,
Okay. That's what we
right?
like to hear.
Yes. And do not feel like, oh, I've already lived my life. Like somebody passed away in my family recently, and he was what 75 years of age. I said, oh, well, he had a good life. I said, no, he did not have a good life. 75 is young. I think it's young. I said, well, you know what? He lived a pretty good life. I said, that I didn't understand that part. But 75 is young to me.
Mm.
Before 40 was over the hill.
Mm.
50 is the new 40, is what we found out in the last few years. And
Yeah.
now, guess what? People in the 60s, disease free.
Yes.
Think about it. We
Yeah.
are postponing that disease, the onset of diseases, to much, much later age in our life. And we can talk about menopause and andropause and perimenopause and PMS and all those things. That's just the stages of your life. Has nothing to do with who you are.
Mm.
All those hormone cycles are only happening to produce babies. It's
Mhm.
nothing to do with how long you're going to live, how good you're going to live, or how blissful you're going to have. Well, the
So,
hormones are disrupting some of your normal patterns, and that's okay. And we can have a whole new podcast on just dealing with hormones altogether for sure.
oh,
But that is just a pattern of life. The real underlying causes inside the body, which affecting all your organs,
the
your
oxidative.
lungs, your hearts, your kidneys, your brain, your everything is affected. And is yeah, hormones can make it a little bit here and there, but that's not the primary cause. The primary cause is oxidative stress.
Okay.
And so we need to understand that making sure everybody has a potential to live a long, healthy life if I can stop and close the gap completely to zero. There's always a potential that if you're early on in your life, if I close the gap to zero for long enough time, then body might rebuild that organ for you. Isn't that
Mm.
a possibility that, oh my God, because the body regenerates new cells, new tissues all the time. How long does it take to rebuild a whole new heart? I don't know. Wouldn't that be nice if we can find out? Say, hey, it takes you 10 years. That means if I can say 10 years completely healthy with not a single cheat day. Think about it. There's a possibility like that too. I do not have an answer for that one yet, but because I have not studied long enough, no human being has stayed completely healthy with zero cheat days for long periods of time. So do not know that part yet.
Yeah. And of course,
But
a lot of the factors that we absorb into our body is something that's outside of our control. Those environmental factors that we breathe in, exposed to, the sun that we're exposed to without proper sun protection, for example, or even the air, if we live in congested areas with poor air quality. These are things that we're not purposely cheating ourselves on. I'm going to go out and inhale some smog, but it's those life choices that we do consciously have the ability to control.
that's right. And I think you asked me the question earlier, how can we increase the glutathione levels? And I'm hoping that you're going to give some ideas about those kind of things. Well, my grandpa used to say that you don't need more money to survive. What you do is reduce your expenses. So when it comes to glutathione, same thing. You don't need more glutathione to survive. You just need to figure out what's depleting your glutathione levels in your body and stop doing that.
Okay, but that's not easy to do, really.
It's not
But
easy to do because guess what? We are not willing to give up our modern day conveniences.
good point. There you go.
And I don't expect you to do that part. We have, as a society, the civil society that we live in today is far more advanced than any of our ancestors lived before. If my grandpa was alive today and just looks at me and how I'm living my life, I say, oh my goodness, I wish I had that life for myself. And so we live in the best time history, period. We're in the best time of our history we are living today.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying that to give all your modern day conveniences, but whatever you can limit knowingly, I would say do it.
Yeah.
So a few things that I can tell you. What are some of the things that, and of course, I'm not talking about hormone disruptors because that's a whole different topic on its own as well. I'm talking about oxidative stress disruptors, which is toxic chemicals that you breathe, toxic chemicals that you ingest, toxic chemicals that you touch, that you put in your skin as in terms of cosmetics or soaps and detergents, whatever that is. All this exposure that your body comes in contact with have to be neutralized, conjugated, and get rid of it without disrupting the whole body's ecosystem. Okay, so that's the first thing we have to figure out. Can we reduce all of these ones? Pollutions. If you have a choice, we're doing this on a remote setting. You're in Canada, I'm in California. We are recording this over a remote setting. And guess what? I didn't travel to Canada to do this podcast live with you. If I traveled that, I'd be using a lot of gas, a lot of fumes, a lot of resources needs to be taken to come to you. And we avoid all those things today. So
Yeah.
I thought I did my part today by not flying to Canada to come see you in person. So, I mean, there's so many things you can do to avoid that part, right?
Oh,
So everybody can do their share of doing their part. So avoiding toxic exposure is number one answer. Number two answer, how do you increase glutathione levels? Is to allow your body to produce enough glutathione on its own. And the body is well equipped to do that till the last day on this planet for you.
okay.
Okay? What it needs: three amino acids, glycine, glutamine, and cysteine. Three amino acids. Cysteine is probably the one that nobody likes to eat because it's stinky foods. Cysteine smells like sulfur, so nobody likes to eat sulfury foods. So I would suggest that you put in your favorite search engine or your AI robot, cysteine-rich foods, and get your vegan choices, your vegetarian choices, your carnivore, your omnivore, your paleo, your Mediterraneans. I don't care what diet plan you follow, what guru you follow. You get all those choices. Make
Okay.
sure that food is in your diet every single day. Not the same, but the variety of it.
Okay.
Make sure that that's in your diet every single day. It's in my diet every single day also. Okay, so that's the number two things you do is you make sure you have your diet conducive to make your own glutathione.
Okay.
And then what happens is that one of the most important thing that depletes the glutathione levels to zero, and you know that, yet you still use it, which is alcohol. One drink
Mhm.
of alcohol can actually disrupt your glutathione levels to zero temporarily for the next 2, 3, 4 hours, and the body will rebound it back and produce it more. But why do you have to put the body through a stress like that? Unnecessary.
Okay.
Unnes- Absolutely unnecessary. It's not providing any benefit to you whatsoever. All it's doing is disrupting your body, or is putting all the guards or leaving the door open for the next 4 hours.
Ah, good analogy. Yes. Okay.
If you leave the door open for the next 4 hours, and the funny part is, if you drink alcohol, you're not there yet. So the door is open in your house, and you're not even in the house because you're completely delirious.
That's true. You have left the building.
You left the building with the door open completely,
That's
right?
an analogy.
So
Of course.
avoid things like these. Avoid things like these, right? And allow the body to literally do its job. The body is designed to do what? To make new parts all the time.
Fair, exactly.
You
Yeah.
you cannot buy a new car today and assume the car is going to build in and keep on rebuilding your engines and your transmissions and the clutches and every single thing. No. If
Easy.
something breaks it out, you take it apart and put a new one in there. But your
Like,
body does not do that. The body rebuilds the
uh-huh.
whole time.
So we think our food, our nutrition, and what comes hand in hand with that is lifestyle interventions, specifically
Absolutely.
movement, exercise. So tell us how that can help support the body's glutathione production.
Well, the production needs to happen because of the amino acids, the enzymes that we need.
Ah,
The ATP, we need two molecules of ATP to produce glutathione. So energy exercise can definitely help,
yeah.
right? Well, if the exercise is a healthy way to increase ATP. The other way is to eating sugars. So I would rather you use exercise to do that energy production because they'll help you much, much better than the sugars or the carbs can do it for you. So there's always a choice. The body always has a contingency plan to do whatever it takes to survive on its own. And so all I'm asking you to do is have better choices in life.
Right. Now, can epigenetics or our genetics
Oh yeah.
influence the body's ability to produce and recycle glutathione?
There's the research, the last 15 years of my life is happening right now.
Okay.
Because until the time I could not figure out what was going on, all of a sudden the patients was healthy, and within 2 years they digressed so far back that they couldn't understand what the heck was happening, and glutathione literally saved their lives. Is what I've been hearing, and so nobody did testings for gene mutation testings 15 years ago. If they did, it was for like $5,000 for a test, so it was just too expensive to do gene mapping studies. Today, the same test is like a couple $100. Cheap,
Wow.
cheap,
Yeah.
right? It's really cheap right now. In fact, I'm doing my test right now as well.
Okay.
So the thing is, now that we have started doing this massive testings are already happening, what we are finding out that there's a small percent of population, they have this gene SNPs of either GSTM or GSTP or GGT or just GST by itself, where they cannot conjugate it and make their own glutathione. If they cannot do that part, they're just going to go down really fast.
Okay.
Just because you have the gene SNPs, it doesn't mean that your body not producing glutathione. The gene has to be expressing itself for you to have a problem. For example, if you have the genes for BRCA genes for breast cancer, does it mean you have breast cancer? No. That means that you have the genes that, if the conditions are right, the genes will express itself and give you breast cancer.
Okay.
If the conditions are not right, the whole thing's always tight-lid forever, and you die with it, and nothing happened to you,
Nothing ever happens. Yeah.
right? So all this GSTM, GGT, GST, GSTP, GGT, all these different enzymes for glutathione, the production of glutathiones, transferase, glutathione synthase, all those things, if they express themselves, you cannot produce glutathione. You're out of luck.
Okay.
What if you have MTHFR gene mutations or COMT, which is very common nowadays? Your body can produce enough glutathione, but your needs are extremely high. For example, for you to survive in Canada right now, you need $10,000 to survive, for example. But all of a sudden, you have some conditions where your needs have just increased to now $30,000 a month.
Mm.
But your ability to produce glutathione is 10,000 only. But now that you're sick, that ability also decreased to only now 8,000 instead of 10,000.
Okay.
You see the gap now? The gap increases tremendously,
Right.
right? And so if somebody if MTHFR gene mutations, it's not that your body cannot produce enough glutathione. The needs of glutathione has just skyrocketed now.
Yes.
And so all these people with this gene mutations, even though they can make glutathione, we cannot fix the gene mutation. We can support it by making sure to get rid of all the debris out of there so that it doesn't affect your body and doesn't get you diseased. So sometimes the glutathione is necessary just because there's a conditions in our body that doesn't allow us to produce more than what's necessary of glutathione. Even though our needs have increased, our body has no ability to produce more than what our body needs are.
So that would be a case where we need to supplement.
Anybody over the age of 35-ish, I think 30 to 35 is a gray area. 35 and above, for sure, you need to supplementations for sure. 30, 35, if you're otherwise healthy, don't drink alcohol, more than likely you're okay. You'll be fine. But starting at the age of 35, the gap is already increasing.
Huh.
The gap's already there. Supplementation is always going to close the gap for you and keep you healthy for a long time. All I'm asking you is to do one thing. Remember that you can be healthy every single day. You don't have to have a cheat days. Who invented cheat days? Well, what life is not worth living if we cannot cheat. I said, who said that?
We put stress on our bodies, so to manage the stress we put on our bodies and exposed to in the environment, we created a cheat day so we can forget about the stress that we put on our body and the cycle continues. Interesting. All right, so there's a couple of things that I want to get out of this.
Okay.
First of all, how does one, with your background in pharmaceuticals and clinical research, take us on the journey? How did you, at the forefront of personalized medicine, decide that, you know what, I'm interested in glutathione, and this is where
Absolutely. So that's a great question because this is how the whole thing started for me. Because I started using customized medications, personalized medications, doing compounding pharmacy, dealing with hormone replacement therapy, anti-aging. Well, this was 25 years ago, so it was used to call anti-aging. Now it's longevity medicines. Before it was functional medicine. The terms keeps on changing, but the concept is still the same. And at that time, I was attracting a lot of clientele that had a lot of money. And when you have a lot of money, you have 1,000 goals. When people don't have good health, they only have one goal. So people that were coming to me had a lot of money, but didn't have good health.
wow.
They only have one goal in mind. I want to be healthy. Money's not the object.
Wow.
And so when those kind of clients came to me particularly, I started asking questions, saying, hey, what can you do to me to help me? I started researching, what can I do? I have all these medications, but the pharmaceuticals are not going to solve the problem. They're just going to put a band-aid over the problem. It's not going to solve any issues. I said, that's not going to be good enough. Are these people, the billionaires coming to me, I need to figure out a better solution than this one. And when I started looking at all the research that's available out in the marketplace, all things led to me was one molecule, was glutathione. If I can just figure out glutathione, I think I can save endless amount of lives. Endless. I can literally save the whole planet. Literally. So the issue with the glutathione was not able to get it inside your body. The body can only produce your own glutathione. It cannot take from outside sources.
Oh,
And I
okay.
said, okay, I will bypass that. So at that time, there was some technology called liposome technology was emerging in the pharmaceutical sides. So I said, you know what? I'll use the technology to make vitamins. I said, what a novel approach, right? This is 25, 26 years ago, right? So I started making a liposome form of glutathione, and it worked on some people, didn't work on everybody. And I said, well, if glutathione is necessary for everybody, it should work on everybody. Why didn't work on somebody? I couldn't figure it out. I said, okay, maybe it's not absorbing. Maybe there's some other factors that I'm not looking at it. So I was a young kid. I did not know every single thing that happens in the human body at that time yet. So I said that, you know what? I have access to making medications. I'll just make intravenous injectable glutathione straight into the bloodstream. My job's done, right? Woo! I made that product, and it worked for a very short amount of time, 15, 20 minutes. It didn't work. The results were not long lasting. I said, wait a second. I'm just injecting the product, and it works for a little bit and doesn't last too long. And the patient says that, hey, it was okay, but then I felt better the next day. I said, what was happening? I couldn't figure out what was going on. So a year goes by, and one of my interns comes to me and said, hey, there's a research that was done. Read this paper. So I read the paper. The paper clearly describes what the body was doing was when you inject glutathione into the bloodstream, it only stays in the water part of the blood. It never enters the blood cells. And the water part of the blood gets filtered by the kidneys every 5 to 15 minutes. And all the glutathione was dumped into the bladder, into the kidneys, and it was filtered out.
Filtered right out.
And now reabsorb back to normal. And that's when I noticed that, oh my God, I saw the results only lasted 5 to 15 minutes and everything was gone. And so that's what I figured I said, but then it couldn't explain to me why it was working a day later. So I further read the research, and in that research, one of the observer said that, hey, an hour and a half to 2 hours later, we saw a rise of cysteine in the blood. Where did the cysteine come from? We injected glutathione. Where did the cysteine come from? What the body was doing was breaking down the glutathione molecule and just absorbing the cysteine out of it.
Oh, wow.
But that's what it was doing. I said, oh my God, the body's so smart. It knows what it needs to do. But we make it harder for a body to work because we give so much stuff and then, hey, body, take whatever you want. It's like you want to pick an item. I said, hey, I want one thing. I said, oh, you have 1,000 choices. Here's everything. Just pick what you want and dump the rest. No, let me just take one and then you keep the rest. No. We give you everything and you go dump it. That's what we do. That's what we do. We give a whole whopping dose of glutathione. The body only absorbs the cysteine, and the body has to process all the other molecules outside your body. Our body's always overworked all the time because we're giving so much stuff to the body and telling it, hey, deal with it. I had an 8 ounce of steak and deal with it now. Oh, I drink so much sugar drinks. Now you deal with it. Oh, I had so much food. Now you deal with it. The body has to deal with it all the time, right? So that's what we are absorbing. So then I had a hypothesis that even the liposome glutathione was not getting absorbed. And if it did work, the only thing it was working was because the cysteine was getting used up in the body. But there was no data for me to research it. So I said, okay, fine. I'm not going to waste my time on it. So I started working on a whole new technology because I had to get the glutathione intracellularly where the mitochondria is, otherwise it is useless. So I started this research to stabilize the glutathione molecule, but the glutathione molecule is so big that I had to bypass the mouth, the nose, every single thing, and get through your skin. Because if I go through anything else, the body breaks it apart. I said, okay, so in that case, skin is a physical barrier.
Yeah.
So the size has to be smaller to get through your skin. So I said, okay, so we do a technology where we twist when you twist a towel, it gets smaller and smaller. When it gets smaller, it's tiny and smaller. That's what we did with the glutathione. We twisted the molecule to make it smaller and skinnier. Eventually, the particle size was so small, it got through your skin.
Interesting.
So I said, okay, voila. It's a topical product. You apply the skin, rub it in, and within 2 minutes or 30 seconds, it's completely gone. It's gone. It's not on your skin anymore. It's completely gone. It's not like a lotion where you apply it, it's still greasy after 2 hours. No, this is gone in like 30 seconds to 2 minutes. It's completely gone. I said, okay, now again, inside your body is gone now. The bigger issue was the cells. The cells is a chemical barrier. Nothing gets inside your cell. Size doesn't matter. it has to be a lock and key. There's a receptors on the cell that you have to accept it, and if they like it, it sucks it in. If you don't like it, it spits it out.
Wild.
Okay, now what do I do? What does the cell needs? Cell needs carbohydrates for ATP
Right.
production, right?
Okay.
So I took a bunch of sugar molecules, and I already put the particle size small enough. I stuffed it inside like a Trojan horse. Outside is sugar molecule, inside is glutathione. I present it through your skin, present it to the cell just sucked it up. Now, once it sucks it up, inside was glutathione, it can spit it out if it wants to, but once it's already inside, oh, I can use this up. So instantaneously, we have the glutathione inside your body. And I first discovered this in 2007. And I could not release the product to the public because it was too early on. There was no research done in the whole world. There was no published articles anywhere in the world. I said, oh my goodness, now what I'm going to do? So 14 years later, I released the product. In that 14 years, I wrote the book, The Glutathione Revolution. I treated endless amount of patients all over the country, worked with dozens and dozens of doctors, and I collected all this data. And then 2021, we basically launched a product to the public.
Okay.
So 25 years of journey today, right? When the people say that it's an overnight success, yeah, it takes me 20 years to build up for overnight success. That's what I feel like it
It
today.
is, but to you, years of hard work and labor and research and dedication and passion.
Well, and so many times I said, I'm going to give up, I'm going to give up. I applied for the patent application in 2007. I didn't get my patents until 2019 because they're asking for more data, and it's costing me more money and more money. It's like, oh my God. I said, when is this going to end? Right?
Yeah.
So,
So a couple of things I want to ask. First, let's go back to that sugar molecule that you've paired glutathione shrunk down into a molecule that the cells could absorb the sugar. But that sugar molecule, it's specific. And correct me if I'm wrong, is it glycogen?
it's not glycogen, it's
No.
dextrins. It's not glycogen. It's completely inert. FDA has a GRAS status. That means it's generally regarded as safe at any concentration. It
Okay,
doesn't raise your sugar levels, doesn't give you energy productions, doesn't do anything for you. It's a completely inert molecule.
right. And the cell will use up what it needs and then just dump the rest without
Yeah,
any adverse.
yeah.
Okay.
There's zero adverse reactions from it. Yeah.
Okay. So now you figured out the best mechanism of delivery being transdermal, topical.
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So the next question is, and I know the listeners are thinking about this, how do I access this? What kind of a cream? Can I use that on my face? Can I help my skin look younger?
Yes.
We have this anti-aging revolution. It's the taglines are everywhere. And as I said before, I mean, prevention obviously is the best medicine, but nothing is necessarily reversible, as you explained. But we're still hearing those taglines, reverse your skin.
I know. So first thing is I tell you, like everything else, let's look at the skin first, and then I'll go inside, further deep inside. To have the healthiest skin, stop using all kinds of products because all products are adding chemicals to your skin the body has to detoxify. The real beauty comes from inside out, not from outside in, right? So eat healthy foods, drink plenty of charged water. When I say charged water, that means clean water, filtered water,
Yeah.
right? I'm not saying that go out and buy some guy selling a machine that oh, I said charged water. No, charged water is just clean water, filtered water, get out of all the debris. In old age, people used to drink water coming down from the mountains because the rocks and stones basically remove all the debris out. And when you get the water, it's completely clean and pure. That's the water you're supposed to drink. Now we can't live in the mountains anymore. So you just filter it artificially using filters and membranes, and there's all this osmosis systems that go through the rocks and all those things. But anyways, do what it takes to filter the water. Just drink filtered water. That's the best way you can do it. Get rid of all the chemicals that you put on your face, right? And eat the diet that supports all the production of antioxidants, which is the cysteine-rich foods. trust me, your skin will appreciate that more than anything else. All right. So being said that, the beauty is inside out, right? Uh, I have created a whole skincare line because as much as I tell people what to do, people still tells me, okay, give me the skincare line. I want to use your skincare line. So what I did was, at the same technology, I took all the antioxidants that I can dream of, shrunk the size, and put everything into one system. 2 serums and 2 creams. As like top 8 antioxidants in the world at full concentration, everything into one. So that's what I have. It's a skincare line. It's Oro Skincare, AURO skincare.com. But my wellness product is Oro Wellness, AURO wellness.com. But that wellness product is coming from inside out. So that is supporting your glutathione needs from inside. And the skin is a reflection of what your body's inside.
Right. So true.
Right? You can slap anything you want. You can mask the blemishes, but the real glow is going to happen once the inside is completely cleaned up,
True.
right? And so I personally use my own skincare product. I use it every single day. I have a new product that we are launching in hopefully the next couple of months. And that's going to change the whole industry about the skincare, because now we have a beauty peptide that our body produces internally. I was able to get inside your skin now. So that's coming up as
Right.
well. But yeah, try it out. We have everything available to everybody. But if you're going to try every single thing, then I would suggest that you reach out to us and read all the instructions, because you cannot take everything at the full concentrations at the full dosage. If you're doing the skincare, then do the skincare at full concentration at the full dosage, and the wellness product, which is internally, just use it once a day.
Okay.
If you're just using wellness product, use it twice a day, and that's okay.
Is all of these key takeaways and messages and instructions, if you will, all covered in the Glutathione Revolution, your book?
So the book was released before I had the company even formed. My book is just my research, all my patient anecdotes, and all the things that I've observed. The name of the product is not even in the book yet, because the book was written in 2020, even before the company was even formed.
Right.
The book is something completely different. All my information is in there. So if you want the information about the product, you have to go to the website.
But that's good for someone like myself who's just loves science, and I like to understand and dissect
Yes.
background, because then, first of all, you know what you're putting in your body, what you're making choices. And I always say that the more informed we can be, the more empowered we can be with knowledge, the more informed choices we can have moving forward. So we'll definitely share not only your website links, but the book as well in the show notes.
Thank you. Thank
But
you.
of course, one of the questions is, because you shared with us that you did a lot of work with celebrities and those with, hefty pocketbooks, deep pocketbooks. But is
Yes.
the product now affordable to the average individual who's looking for a real viable skincare product, and a product that they can put into their bodies that is within a cost measure that's,
It is. It's very dear to me, because if you read the book, the stories about my dad came to me one day and told me the same thing. I said, you know what? This product is going to change the world. And it's up to you to figure out how you can make it accessible to the whole world, because it's expensive. And we want to make sure that you do whatever it takes to make sure everybody in the world have access to it. So the first thing I did was I brought the whole manufacturing of this in-house. So we have the whole manufacturing plant set up in California, FDA registered, and making sure that I go straight from manufacturers straight to the consumers. There's no middleman.
That's perfect.
And I had to make sure that I did that part, because glutathione, people compare my product to glutathione products in the marketplace today, and that's not even a comparison, because the sugar molecules, the dextrins, is 3 times more expensive than glutathione itself.
Okay, interesting.
3 times. And so I had to make sure that I have access to that raw material. And so my product is if they're compared with any of the products in the marketplace, they won't be able to compare it because nothing will come close in terms of making sure that you have enough glutathione in your body to do all its work. The results are nothing short of a miracle. And the best part about this thing is that twice a day application, which costs you about 125 to 126 bucks right now, but that is replacing all intravenous form of glutathione, all other forms of glutathione. It's replacing all kinds of supplements that you don't have to take anymore because your body is just going to it's going to do what it takes, right? If you just get a healthy diet and replace the glutathione, which is the number one peptide produced by the human body, all the other peptides, amino acids that we consume now is going to use up to build everything from tissues to organs to muscle fibers to every single thing.
Beautiful.
So I went from 30 vitamins per day to down to one
Which is
myself. It's been 3 years now. I'm not taking any. I do take vitamins here and there once in a while if I need to, but on a daily basis, I don't take anything except for magnesium.
I was just going to ask you, which one might that be? Because magnesium.
Magnesium. The reason is about magnesium because magnesium I use it mainly for electric conduction in my whole body. I never ground myself. I never walked in barefoot in a open fields, but touch the earth. So I'm never grounded. So I
Yeah.
need to take magnesium to have electrical fields. I wish I can do this all the regular times. I can ground myself.
We could spend another podcast episode just speaking on that topic. But I'm interested because you said you wanted to circle back to a story about your father, and I think you alluded to it.
Yes, very quickly. So my dad at the age of 77, 78-ish, otherwise healthy human being, doing some hormone replacement therapy because I put him on hormone replacement therapy years ago, testosterone replacements, and a little bit on the heavier side, type 2 diabetes, a little bit of arthritis for 30 years or so. So, yeah, it looks aged. He looked aged. About that time, he had some shortness of breath, and so we did some EKG, and the EKG did show some abnormalities, right? I said, okay, well, let's do an angiograph. So scheduled an angiograph 2 days later, went for an angio, and what they found out was one of the arteries, the main artery, was 100% blocked. 100% blocked. The doctor goes, oh my God, I can't believe that you're still alive today. You should have been dead, right? But he has so many collaterals because of the testosterone he was taking all his life. There's so many collaterals that the heart was still getting the blood, not from the main arteries anymore. And so they put a stent over there, and all as short as the breath went away, functioned completely normal, was fine. He had no cholesterol issues, but of course, when the doctors give them everything, cholesterol pills and blood thinners and all kinds of drugs, right, from the hospital. Comes home, I said, Dad, he asked me, do you take all these pills? I said, well, you don't have cholesterol issues, so I would not take cholesterol pills. Blood thinners, yes, you do take blood thinners because the stent brain is a metal piece in there, so you can take for at least 3 months, and after that, you can quit it. Everything else, it's up to you. So he didn't take any medicine. About the time, it was 3 years into my research of glutathione. So he was my patient number one.
Yes.
I started using the glutathione. You tell you diabetes for 30 years, arthritis for that long, blood pressure issues. And like a good kid I am, I forgot about my dad. I gave him the product, and I forgot about that. I gave it to him.
All right.
2 years later, I was just sitting one day having dinner with him, and I saw he was just pounding on sugars and carbs. I said, Dad, what are you doing? You're diabetic. Oh, no, my sugar levels have been normal for quite some time now. I said, what? Give me a phone. Checked on his app, and
Yeah.
his sugar levels, A1C levels were normal.
Wow.
I said, Dad, we are Indians, and for Indians, it's not the fasting sugar levels or the A1C levels, it's the postprandial, which is 2 hours after you eat, is the bigger issue for us because that's inflammation. I said,
Right.
I know what you're going to ask me. Your brother already told me that part, so I already did my testing. And here's the machine. Check your 14-day average. Looked at it, and it was on 100. I said, oh my goodness, what's going on? I said, this gluten is not supposed to get rid of diabetes, right? But his sugar levels are completely normal. I said, Dad, you know what? The sugar, yes, sugar is okay, but your food's not that good. So please, how about at least walking 30 minutes per day every day? He was so proud of himself. pulls his app out and said, look at this walk schedule I have. He was walking 6 miles per day.
Wow.
6 miles. And so I said, oh my goodness. And no pain, no inflammation, nothing. And then I said, okay, great. This is awesome. A couple of years goes by, 2 years goes by, and then comes back one day to me. I said, I went to a chiropractor and my hips are not aligned anymore. And the hips are not aligned because my knees are buckling in. And he asked me that I should get knee replacement done if I want to continue walking. I said, okay, let's go to a surgeon and figure out what to do. Surgeon, we did x-rays and both knees completely deformed. I said, oh my God, you have no pain? I said, no, he has no pain. I mean, he's just walking a little funny right now, but just no, his very little amount of pain left anymore. I said, this is incredible. I said, he needs both replacement done so we can do one now and one next year. My dad goes, I'm already 84 years of age. There's no way I'll let you operate to me more than once. So do both the knees at the same time.
Okay.
I said, you're 84 years of age and you'll be like completely better for 6 months or so. I said, I'll do whatever it takes to be healthy again. So just tell me what to do. Go on a bicycle and things like that. So like an overachiever he is, as soon as he came home from the car, he told me that, hey, go on Amazon and buy me a bicycle, stationary bike right now. So in 2 days, there was a bike coming delivered to his house. They put it in his bedroom, started bicycling every day so he can squat stronger because once you cut the knees up, he just goes downhill really fast. So that's what the doctor told him. And so I think 3 or 4 months later, he scheduled his knee replacement surgery. Both knee at the same time. 2 days later, he walked outside the hospital. 2 days. Painful, but he walked. Anyways, comes home. He had a physical therapist come home at least twice a week, take him for a little bit of walk here and there. And then by the end of 30 days, he was already walking 1 block.
That's incredible.
Right? Inside the housing tract that he lived in, was walking inside the housing tract block. By the second month, he was already walking a mile plus, 2 miles close to. And by the third month comes around, he calls me up and says, hey, take me to the doctors again. So we go to the doctors, do the x-ray again, and everything was good. He said, you have no pain. You walk great. There's no inflammation. This is incredible. 3 months and you're already healing very well. So my dad asked the doctor, I said, hey, can I go to India? And he goes, because you said 6 months I cannot travel. I said, well, I don't see why not. Okay. Yeah, you can go. I said, oh, thank God. I already booked my tickets for next week. So he already had a goal in mind. He had a goal in mind that 3 months I'll be flying to India. So all this time from 77s onwards, he took a trip to overseas every single year, either India, well, mostly India every single year, but he went to Australia, New Zealand. He came with us to Alaska. He went to Costa Rica for 10 days for an adventure trip with us. He went to Hawaii at a big island for another 7-day excursion. Wherever we went on vacation, he was with us, right? He went to Yosemite National Park. It's a full-on hiking trip. Of course, he said, I'm not going to hike that much. I'll just walk around a little bit with you, and I'll just go back to my cabin. But he was there with us all the time for all these years, right? He traveled the world, right? At the age of 77, 78, he was barely surviving.
Unbelievable.
And a year later, he started living his life,
Oh,
right? He started living his life. I mean, he walked the Glacier Mountains in New Zealand. He was just, I mean, we could not get to those dog rides that you have in Alaska.
yeah.
The sleds, yeah. We couldn't get it because it was all sold out. My dad was, I want to do that. I want to do that. I said, let's do it. It was all sold out. We couldn't do that for him. I was so bummed out.
Oh.
But anyways, so he was living his life, enjoying his life. He was in India last year again, like his normal trip. And it was single. My mom passed away 25 years ago. So all this trip, it was by himself, by the way, right? He travels the world by himself, does all his own things, foods, cooking, whatever is necessary, he'll take care of himself, right? And last year, same thing. He was in India traveling, and he loved his street foods. Now he's not diabetic anymore. He was liking his street food. And said, Dad, don't eat street foods, Sure enough, he did it. He got diarrhea, he loose bowel movements. Dad, I told you, stop it. Don't. I said, okay, yeah, okay, whatever. The blues probably did not stop for 2, 3 days. So I got dehydrated.
Oh, of course. You're right. Oof.
The next morning, fell out in the shower.
Oh, no.
He had a broken skull, right? A
Oh,
fractured skull. I said, oh my God. I said, so we already planned to go to India right away to pick him up, right? And then he calls from the hospital. I'm okay, I'm fine, don't worry about it. I have no loss of memory. I already know some doctors over here, a neurosurgeon that I know over here. I just found out that he was the head neurosurgeon. He was the head of the Society for Neurosurgeons. I said, oh my God. I said, my
oh,
dad's fallen down and he is in India and he has broken his skull and I don't know what to do with it. I said, what hospital is it? Okay, give me 1 hour. In 2 hours, there was a neurosurgeon visiting my dad in India in his hospital, calling me from there. Said, hey, we're here with your dad. Seems to be normal. There's some blood loss internally. He's coherent. He's conscious. He has no loss of memory. His vision is completely okay. Everything is checked out fine. Let's wait for 3 or 4 days. Hopefully everything's okay. If that's okay, then 17 days later he'll be able to travel. My dad picks up the phone. See, I told you, I'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Don't do too many things. I mean, at the age of 89, most people will just kind of shrivel up at this age, right? It says, oh my God, it was still so much vibrant, right? Then he started calling everybody, call his brother, call his sister, telling them, hey, I fell down and this is what happened. So they're all panicking for him. Because no, don't worry about it. I'll be fine. I'll see you in the United States in about 10 days or so if once everything is normal. Calls everybody, right? Puts his phone down, goes to sleep, and then never wakes up again.
oh no.
And the thing is,
Oh,
I tell this story is because isn't it we all wish one day that when my time is up, then just pick me up and don't let me suffer even a single minute?
no.
He
Wow.
didn't suffer.
You just,
Until the last moment, he was talking, he's enjoying life, he was conversing with his siblings and with his kids and grandkids,
yeah.
right? Telling his story that, hey, I fell down, but I'll be fine, don't worry about it. He's telling us not to worry about it,
Yeah.
right? And then puts his phone down, goes to sleep, and never wakes up.
What?
But the
Wow.
last 13 years of his life, was he merely living his life or surviving his life, or is absolutely living his life?
Arriving to the
And so
very end.
I want to live this hope for all the listeners today. It doesn't matter how old you are, your body is equipped to deal with it. Your body is so resilient that you don't have to lose faith in it. Trust your body, provide the nutrients, provide everything the body needs, and get rid of stuff the body does not need at all, and see the miracle. And not just see the miracle, experience a life worth living. So I hope everybody gets this message loud and clear because this is the message in my life, and I hope everybody gets to experience that one day.
That is so beautiful. And with the help of your product and your technology and research, I think they can get all of that in the show notes, including the link to your book, The Glutathione Revolution. This has been a pleasure. I've just been soaking this all up, Dr. Patel. I'm so glad to have you on the show, but I do want to bring you back to get specifically into hormones. We just sort of scraped the surface. We'll get
Yes.
so much to share, and I appreciate those personal stories. That's really impactful.
Thank you so much.
What a fascinating journey down science, understanding the cells, fighting off aging and disease. So much was unpacked, but here are my key takeaways from the episode interview with Dr. Nayan Patel. Number 1, glutathione, also GSH, is a natural tripeptide amino acid produced in every cell and is known as the master antioxidant because of its significant role, powerful role in detoxification and protecting against free radical damage, which we are exposed to all the time in our environment, what we ingest in our food, in our air that we breathe, and even the chemicals that we put on our skin every day to moisturize, to wash. Free radicals are everywhere, and this damage can be addressed. Also helps with the decline in aging, which is my second takeaway. Natural glutathione production decreases as early as age 12 and reduces the body's ability to combat stressors and oxidative damage. My third takeaway is what we can do to defend ourselves against the stress. And glutathione helps defend the body against environmental stressors like pollution, UV rays, chemicals, even emotional challenges, and supports overall health. And those health benefits, my fourth takeaway, it supports liver detoxification, enhances athletic performance and recovery, boosts immune function, increases energy, improves sleep, and reduces toxin buildup in the body. Fifth takeaway, Dr. Patel's amazing innovative delivery system. Because glutathione could not be absorbed in the body any other way than through the skin, with a sugar, dextrose, Dr. Patel was able to develop glutaryl, which is a transdermal spray that uses sub-nanotechnology. And this enables the delivery of high doses of GSH in potent absorbable form. And this helped overcome all of the previous barriers that Dr. Patel experienced in its delivery. Number 6, his book, The Glutathione Revolution. Now, although the technology has advanced since the writing of his book, this book, Glutathione Revolution, provides actionable plans to naturally increase glutathione's levels through the foods we eat, supplementation, and lifestyle changes, promoting vitality and disease prevention. And my last takeaway, optimizing glutathione levels is key to aging better, supporting immunity, and enhancing overall well-being. If you want to get your hands on any skincare products, visit orowellness.com.
If today's insights resonated with you, I'd love for you to be a part of our growing community of menopause disruptors. Hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening right now. And if you know someone who can benefit from these conversations, please share this episode. Sometimes a simple act of sharing can be the first step in someone's healing journey. And hey, if you're ready to take the next step in your menopause journey, I'm here to support you. You can find all my services, including my comprehensive menopause intelligence digital course, one-on-one coaching programs, and workplace education services at mlcoaching.com. It's in the show notes. Want to stay connected and get regular doses of menopause wisdom? Follow me on Instagram at Menopause Disruptor Podcast, where I share tips, insights, and real conversations about navigating this transformative phase of life. Let's continue to disrupt this menopause conversation together. Remember, midlife should be the best life, and it will be. Namaste.